Hello and welcome back to Heywood and Stuff, the YouTube channel where I post sporadically when I feel like it. And here I am. I'm getting back into the podcasting thing, and I've got today Adam Proud from the Above Average podcast. Mate, thank you for coming in today.
Mate, thank you for having me. I'm very jealous of your setup. I absolutely adore it. Since the first time I saw it, I wanted to steal it.
It's nice having someone who does podcasts come to the space because you appreciate it.
I do. I've just got lamps for mine as well. After I saw yours last time, I was like, I need some coloured lights in my studio as well.
Yeah, it does. It can make a difference.
Yeah, definitely.
So today I really want to talk about podcasting, what it's like to start a podcast and how it is having a podcast. I guess we'll start from the beginning.
Okay.
The Above Average podcast. How long have you had it? How did it begin?
Cool. So the Above Average podcast I've had since the end of 2022. I recorded a couple episodes in November, the end of 2022, just with my friend Luke, who I know you've met a couple times. And I just, you know what, before that I'd done 10 years of videos of just talking to the camera. I had people do it with me. And it was just YouTube stuff like, hey, what's up? Like, subscribe, and all this stuff, right? And you don't get any feedback from it. It's just you and a camera in a room or in a public place, you know, and there's no feedback, there's no enjoyment. So,
oh, you mean like initial feedback, like as you do it?
Yeah, like there's just a camera lens, you know. It's just, and then you end it, and then you like silence, you know. There's no conversation flow. So that's what I really preferred, was the back and forth. And then I got a new job and I started driving like 40 minutes a day, and I was like, well, my music's not quite hitting the spot, you know. So I started getting into actual podcasts, and then I was like, I could do this. So I set up the studio in the above the gym, and then lo and behold, it became the Above Average podcast. So
that's why you started the podcast.
Yeah, I've always done some sort of motivational thing, whether it be posts, videos, like whatever, and it just seemed like the next step. You know, because I got into YouTube when everyone else seemed to be doing like YouTube videos and stuff, and then everyone seems to be doing podcasts, so I kind of just followed suit.
So so let's go back to like when you started doing videos and what your motivation was for that. Because for me, I started doing the YouTube thing before I did the podcast thing as well.
Yeah.
And for me, it was kind of it was like a therapy thing. So I was like unpacking a lot of my past stuff, and I was talking about struggles with alcohol, and I think, in hindsight, my motivation was like I just needed to share.
Yeah.
So why did you do it? What was your like reason?
Ooh, well, we can go one of two ways for this, mate. Right. So the first reason is it just seemed cool, and I liked watching other people do it.
Yeah.
The other reason is, if you want to go like to the deep levels, right? I was always told in school by people around me, by friends, by teachers. Well, teachers said speak up more. All the rest of the people around me told me to shut the hell up. Right. Can I swear on this, by the way? Yeah. Okay. Told me to shut the fuck up, basically, right? They were like, just, you're uninterested, and we don't want to care what you got to say, you're weird, blah, blah, blah. And over the years, I've sort of unpacked that as like, okay, maybe that's why I got into videos and shouting at cameras, because I wanted to be cool, because I never was. But then also, I'm like, I have a voice, and I want to be heard, you know? So that's the deeper reason I think I've kind of discovered. But initially, it was just, you know, I watched people on YouTube giving off motivational speeches. I was in a very dark, shitty place. And those were the videos that helped me get through. And so it just kind of made sense to me to kind of replicate those in some kind of way.
What was like your steepest learning curve when you started doing the podcasting stuff, specifically podcasting?
Yeah. Probably how much time goes into it. Like, obviously you're saying I appreciate the studio. It's the time behind it that no one sees. They just think you turn up, you press a few buttons, it's recorded, and then you put it out to the world. It's not that at all. So it became what I thought would be a fun little side hobby became like, okay, after work, now I have to go home and do this side of work, you know?
So let's unpack it. So what does, where's the time go?
So
for someone who's never...
Okay, so do you want me to like break down how I do it? So basically, you have to go, say you've got no one that you know who you want to talk to, right? You've got to go and find someone. So for me, it was always like searching hashtags on Instagram, or people that mutual people followed who might be interested, or I could at least have some sort of communication with, right? So I'd find them, then you've got to message them, wait for them to respond. If they don't, you got to follow up or whatever, and find other people in the meantime. Then when they say yes, you got to go away and be like, okay, let's set a date. scheduling conflicts. Then you go in, do your research on them, you deep dive their Instagram. I'd like to go right to the bottom, to the deepest recesses of someone's social media and pull, not embarrassing stuff, but just stuff that's like, they're like, oh my God, I haven't thought about that in years, you know? And then like, after that, then I've got to go write the questions, and I like to do it in a timeline order. So I'm like, let's start.
Fuck, you're organized.
I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, let's start at like the beginning of someone's story, and then let's go through the middle, and then let's see where they're at now, kind of thing. And then by the end, the guests normally, like, sometimes they come in and they're a bit more like, you know, reserved or whatever. Then by the end, they've sort of, I've took them on a journey of their own life. You know what I mean? Like, they've like, I had a few guests say like, oh, like I really, now that I've heard my story out loud, I've actually accomplished quite a bit, you know? But obviously, once you've recorded it and got your questions in, then you've got to go in and edit it, which is I mean, I don't know how you do it, but I use DaVinci Resolve, and I'll sit through the whole thing again, watch myself, which not many people like to do, and I'll go camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2, and I'll timestamp reels that I want to cut, like clips, or that'll make good for Instagram, whatever. Then I've got to get them subtitled and whatnot. Originally, it was myself that subtitled everything. Now I've got a friend who does it with me. Call her my producer, Carla. Absolutely love it to death. Couldn't do this without her. She does all the clips and stuff for me now. I'll send her the timestamps, and she'll use a program called Opus. And
I used to do subtitles as well, but manually. I had to
type the words.
I used to type the words,
bro.
Before like Opus or like CapCut were around.
I did that once, then I gave up. This was years ago. I did it once for a video I was editing for someone, and I was like, I'm never doing this again.
There was a point when, you know, even on Instagram, you didn't have the auto captions.
No, you didn't,
It was like, and even with the auto captions, before you had to then go through it all because they made so many mistakes.
Yeah, and obviously, like, you got to get your timing right then. It doesn't auto-time. Like, you don't just type words out and it automatically syncs. It's just like, but there's so much that goes into it that people forget. And it's like...
How did you find with all the tech side of stuff?
Well, thankfully, I had 2 cameras already. One that I bought when I did the YouTube days, and then another one was given to me actually by a friend. And the microphones and stuff, I'd thankfully picked up stuff over the years, like microphones and stuff like that. But the actual podcast microphones themselves, I need to go and buy. So I got some cheap USB one. None of these cool Rode mics that you have, but I got some from Amazon for like 40, 60 quid.
Yeah.
And then just connect them to USB. I even use Audacity to record my podcast. Yeah. People look at me like...
No, but I think it's a really important point that anybody can start a podcast for relatively cheap, right?
Yeah.
Like Audacity is free. You can get mics that are less than 100 quid each.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of lighting, like on Amazon, you can get lighting for 50 quid. You know, it can get as expensive as you like, but anybody can start their own podcast.
Yeah, I think the cameras are good mostly for the clips. I don't know many people who watch a podcast. There's definitely some who'll watch the full thing, right? But most people will probably listen. The clips are there to advertise, to promote it. Because I know a lot of people who said, well, I want to do a podcast, but I don't like being on camera. It's like, well, it's probably not going to go as far as you want it to go.
Yeah.
Like, people want to see these guests. People want to see you talking to them. They want to know what your studio looks like. They want to know, like...
It's interesting because my partner listens to a lot of podcasts, and they are all video podcasts, but she's just listening to them.
Yeah.
And it's the clips that definitely grab... They're a great funnel, aren't they, to go to the long-form content. But I listen but watch podcasts while I'm washing up in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And I like having the visual in front of me because I'll be listening to it, like looking down at the sink or whatever, but then if there's like a really strong point, I'll look up. I like that extra engagement that I can have with the people talking.
You like having that option to do that.
Yeah, because I've always been very visual, so like I can listen to something, but with my ADHD I can get distracted really easily, but if there's a visual with it as well, it can really lock me in.
Yeah,
do you
definitely.
know what I mean?
But I think most of the podcasts that I've listened to, I've seen a clip first. That's how I found it. Like, I don't know many people who have said, I was doing a deep dive on Spotify and found this. It's always from a clip or something. Even if you're just doing Zoom podcasts or whatever. I mean, if you have your phone, for example, and you say you have a secondary phone or an old phone, like iPhones are great for filming. A couple camera tripods, set them up, that's your camera's done.
Yeah.
You don't need a DSLR. I mean, obviously, the better quality, the more professional you're going to look. But at the start... You don't need professional equipment. Just make do with what you've got.
I've used an iPhone for recording the establishing shot, and that thing never runs out. You can plug it in, and it doesn't have like a 30-minute time limit.
And you don't have to mess with the third. Don't get me started on the 30-minute time.
Go on,
limit.
explain the 30-minute.
Oh my god! So I don't actually. Do you know where it comes from? Because I have an idea that I was told, but I don't actually know. Maybe you do.
Where it comes from? What do you mean?
Why
it exists?
Why it's 30 minutes?
What was? There is a reason. I can't remember now.
Well,
because I looked into it because I was like, because I had a Fuji camera.
It's annoying. That's what it is.
Why the fuck do these cameras only record for half an hour? And that was at 1080. At 4K, it was only 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it was actually something to do with the processors that they would overheat. It was something to do with that. And so they didn't want them to overheat, so they capped the amount of time that they could record.
Okay, cool.
But I'm not 100%.
I don't know either. To be fair, that sounds better than my reason, which was basically illegal pirating films and cinemas.
Maybe.
There was something to do, but then you get some like one of my cameras, the DSLR, needs to be stopped and restarted. So just a little, if anyone ever actually watches my podcast, like physically watches, you'll notice every 23 minutes or something, normally the guest's talking at that point, there'll be a brief like 3-second window where it'll cut to me.
Yeah.
And then it'll go back to the guest. That's where the overlap of the camera's gone. So Carla's gone up to the camera, stopped it, and restarted it to do the next half an hour.
And do you have to stop the guest?
No.
Right, yeah.
So Carla she comes over and she'll stop and start the button.
Which makes it, so to give context for anyone who's like listening, watching, a lot of cameras can only record for 30 minutes at a time, and then it will turn off. So you essentially have to stop and start before.
Yeah.
Which makes it a fucking nightmare when you're editing it, because then when you have to sync it all up, if you're recording sound separately, to sync up sound to two videos that are not cohesively starting and stopping at the same time.
It's a pain.
It's such
a real
pain.
pain in the ass.
I've had loads of times where I'm doing it frame by frame, trying to sync the video to the sound, trying to get it just right.
Do you know what? It's really nice to talk to someone who just fucking gets it.
I know.
It's so nice because I try and explain this to people and you get that like death stare, you know? Like,
and it's like any industry, right? Anything that you're into, you never really know the depths of what's going on.
Oh yeah, I mean, if people could see what's around us, all the wires and the kit and stuff like that, it's a lot of money, time, and setup. I mean, you're like me. You as beforehand, like fiddling with the camera, like the slightest little zoom. You know, that's what we're like as people who produce a podcast. We want it to look a certain way, I guess. But I think the perfectionist side of it does play a little part. Like, I mean, I always say good enough is good enough. That's how I try and get around it, because I'd never like to say perfectionism, because I feel like it's procrastination disguised as high standards 90% of the time. Some people are perfectionists, but I think a lot of the time it's just like they're just kind of procrastinating on stuff, especially if they're not getting it done because of being a perfectionist. If you're still getting stuff done and claim to be a perfectionist, you probably are, but for most people they're not.
So my take on this, I agree with you completely. My take on this, for me, the reason why I did my podcast for a year and then I've taken a break and now I'm slowly getting back into it.
Yeah.
The key for me is that I'm enjoying the process, right?
Yeah.
And all the lights and mics and the tech and the editing, all of that is kind of extras where it's like finessing. But the bit that I enjoy is sitting down on the chair with a person, having an intentional fucking conversation about something. And like, I kind of like the build up to it as well. And then, at the end of it, it just feels good. How many episodes have you done now with your podcast?
I've just, as of the other week, done 51. So 51 episodes.
So, I mean, I imagine it's been a journey from the beginning to now. Now, when you do the podcast, what's the part that you enjoy the most of the whole, like, of all aspects of producing a podcast?
Min question. I think the bit that I love the most is mid-interview when you ask the guest a certain question, and you can tell you've hit a spot where they're really passionate about it, and they'll light up.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. I think it was one of my guests asked him about Star Trek because he was a Star Trek fan. Oh my god, the room lit up. He loved it. But it was like just seeing people talk about their passions is what I really enjoy, because at the end of the day, you want to give the listener something to take away, and it's like I normally try and get some insights out of the guest, like not just here's my story, go away and enjoy it. It's like, what lessons did you learn along the way, kind of thing. So I think for me it's definitely about seeing people light up and be like, oh my god, I've been waiting for someone to ask that question.
Yeah. How has it helped you with I don't know if it's a bit of a naff question, but there's a reason to it. How has it helped you with like your confidence with people, or with your like social skills, or like your people person skills? Yeah,
massively, man. I mean, for a bit of context, I mean, I was very socially awkward when I was growing up. Like, I was just weird. Just a weird fucking kid, man. Good. I'm still fucking weird, to be honest, but I own it a bit more. I make it a bit easier on myself. But like,
There's nothing wrong with weird.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. Weird people are the best.
Society used to point the finger at weird, but I think we're starting to embrace weird now.
Yeah, especially with content creators. Every content creator is a little bit fucked in the head. We're all a little bit weird, but it's fine. We're on team weird. It's fine. But for me, I was very shy and awkward, and I hated talking to people. I hated social situations. I get anxious, and I still do now. But I took a job. I was a waiter for 7 years, so I had to make small talk. I had to talk to everyone. I had to go up to strangers every single minute of the day. Yeah. So that massively boosted it, and I think that's helped me develop as a podcaster. First of all, because you have to draw blood from a stone, I guess, right? Because some people aren't receptive. They want to be on a podcast, but no one's ever given them the space to open up. No one's ever given them the space to tell their story, or they've never thought about certain things that you've asked for years, So you've got to give them that space and sort of encourage them to speak up a little bit more, dig a little bit deeper into someone. I think those always make the better interviews.
What tips would you give to someone who's starting podcasting and they might have a guest that is closed off or nervous, right? Like the whole podcasting thing can be nerve-wracking. Even if you've done it for years, sometimes you get a little bit like that angst just before. Yeah. What tips would you give to someone who's in that situation? They've got a guest and their guest is just like closed up. Yeah. And they're not giving them anything.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the case and you've got your questions, some people prefer to wing a podcast. If you can wing a podcast with just your general knowledge, I think with you obviously, and you got ADHD and stuff, I've noticed that massively helps because your brain's already going. But if you don't have that superpower, so to speak, your questions and the way you've structured it will help. I always, just to get around this, don't go straight in with for example, right? I had a guy on he won't mind me mentioning because it's all over the internet. So he's called George Charlton, right? And he was abused as a child by a priest, and he fell into drugs, had a suicide attempt. He's good now, but I went back and I was talking about his time in, I don't know, the military, or what he was like as a little scamp or whatever, something lighthearted. If I just went in and was like, so what was it like with that priest? Do you know what I mean? It's too much, too fast. It's like going on a first date, right? And going, so when are we getting married? Yeah. You wouldn't do that, would you? If you do that on a first date, you're not getting a second date. But with a guest, ask them something lighthearted, something fun, just like, oh, so what was it like where you grew up? Like, what was it like performing at that age? Or like, were you always the way you were? What were you like in school? Something easy, that opens the flow of conversation.
I found when I was doing my podcast a lot more before, it was very heavily talking about mental health. Yeah. And so I'd intentionally invite people to talk about their mental health journey, how they overcame certain struggles or hadn't got over their struggles. And sometimes it would, sometimes I did go in a bit heavy, a bit quick within the first 20 minutes, and I could see people going like, ugh. Yeah. And then I realized if I share something really heavy about me first, that sometimes gives permission for the other person. And I wouldn't say this is so much a podcast tip as it is just like a person-to-person thing.
Yeah, a general social skills thing.
Yeah. Just sharing your own experience can often really give permission for someone else. It shows this is a safe environment. These are okay conversations to have with me if you're comfortable when you're ready, sort of thing.
You give them a safe space to open up, and usually I get them on the phone first. Obviously we've met before, so we didn't need to have a conversation before this, but I'll normally try and ring up, especially if it's going to be a deep one where they're going to talk about something. I have a woman I'm talking to at the minute. She's been through a lot of shit, and it's going to be a very sensitive episode. And I'm like, I need to speak to her on the phone first.
Can you give us a little exclusive?
Not too much, because I don't know a lot about. I know the harsh parts, and I know that she's been through a lot, and she hasn't told her story yet. So I'm going to give her, like you said, the permission to speak, and she wants to do it, which is great. But I know I think she was in an abusive relationship to the point where the guy's now in prison. Yeah. She's raising a child by herself and all that sort of stuff. So she's been put in some harsh situations that weren't her fault, and it's now she's dealing with the aftermath of that, and that's what we're going to talk about and really dive into that. But it's getting her on, I need to speak to her on the phone first to say what are you comfortable talking about? Yeah. Because if I ask a question that maybe she wants to talk about certain context but not this part, then the interview is really going to take a bad turn. And thankfully, I've never had that yet.
It's important to kind of just go over like what direction the episode's going to go in. When you started the podcast, and as it's evolved, did you have like an intention on what kind of genre the podcast was going to be about? Like, did you know what you wanted to talk about and what kind of guests you wanted to have on?
I just wanted to talk to people. Well, the whole point of the Above Average, the name actually came from a few places, but the main place that I got the idea from was some guy while I was serving him at TGI Fridays. It was a horrendously busy shift, and he was just a miserable bastard the whole time with this kid just sat screaming on an iPad. And we always ask at the end of a meal, it was always like, oh, like, has everything been all right for you kind of thing? And he just hadn't really said anything the whole time. And he was like, the service has been average. And I was like, oh, cheers, bro. Like, you gave me nothing this whole time, but I appreciate you just slagging me off to my face. And I went back and I told everyone, I was like, the guy just called me average. So I was like, average Adam and all this stuff. So then the Above Average became a thing after that. But the idea was I wanted to talk to people who'd done things a little bit outside the norm. Because I think a lot of people they see these content creators online and they think they need to be rich, successful, and driving insane cars to be classed as, outside of the norm. Whereas there's this other bit that people forget about, right? Like, you're above the norm purely just because you have a podcast and you do interesting shit. Like, that's enough. That should be enough, right? You don't have to be rich and famous to be a success. So the idea was, you're not like way above the average, but you're just above the average. You're just doing something a little bit different.
Yeah.
And people, I think, relate to that a lot more than, oh yes, I have my Bugatti up here in the Hollywood. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't quite relate the same as someone who's on your level and has just done a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like stand-up comedians who've done a few TV shows and stuff. Like, I interviewed a woman called Sammy Dobson, who's now on Casualty. I think she plays Nicola or Nicole, someone like. Forgive me, Sammy, I'm sorry. But you know what I mean? And it's like, that's cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's probably one of the. I've had Anthony Hutton, who won Big Brother, things like those are the bigger stars. But then I've had like just people who run their own business and help a few people, like PTs.
Yeah.
Like, and just helping people change their lives. That's cool enough to be classes above the average. So that was the whole point, was to get people on that people could, to some degree, relate to.
What was it that I was listening to the other? Oh, it was Mr. Beast, right? YouTube. And I mean, whatever you think about Mr. Beast, he's good at what he does, right?
Yeah.
And he was in an interview and he was talking about how he'll talk to other content creators that, they're really high up and they've got the big following, like millions. And he was saying how some content creators would be really hesitant to collab with him because they were worried that their subscribers would then go follow him. You're not going to lose subscribers because they've gone to follow somebody else. You can only gain by creating a community with other like-minded people who are also creating stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, even if you've got like 10 followers, 100 followers, or 1 million followers, it's all about like...
it's collaboration at the end of the day.
It's a collaboration, yeah. You've got nothing to lose by collaborating with someone. You've only got to gain, whether that be followers, the next guest, or just a really good time.
Yeah.
You know?
People are so protective sometimes of, like, I will send any guest of my show your way, and I would love for that episode to do better than my episode with them. Like, that does not affect my life in any way. But people people forget that you don't have a limited number of subscribes that you can be subscribed to. You don't have a limit on the amount of people you can follow on Instagram. Yeah. Right? It doesn't matter. People can watch 2 different shows at the same time. It's like saying you couldn't watch Emmerdale and Coronation Street. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
100%. And I think it also goes back to like the intention behind why you're doing the podcast in the first place. Like, if I had a client who wanted to produce a podcast and they were like, oh man, I just want to get 1 million subscribers and make loads of money, I'd be like, cool, let's produce a podcast. Yeah. But at the same time, that's kind of setting yourself up for a little bit of disappointment if your sole intention to do a podcast is to get a massive following. I think what makes a lot more sense is creating the podcast because you believe the podcast needs to be created, just for the sake of the fact that they should be created. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I remember I was going through a bit of a dip when I was about 3 months in doing my podcast. I'd only done like 4 episodes, and a friend of mine was like, dude, just keep creating them because they need to be created. Because I was talking about mental health, and if it only helps a couple of people, like, that's a couple of people more than if you hadn't have created it. Yeah. And it really like flipped a switch in my head. I was like, it doesn't matter if I've got 5 views or 5 million. It's doing it because it needs to be done. You know what I mean? Have you had any moments through your like podcast journey where you've wanted to quit and just like chuck it all in?
I've never had moments where I want to quit, but I've had moments where I'm like, this is a lot to do and I need to take a break. And you feel bad taking a break because you're like, what about my listeners? And what about people? Like, are they going to expect this? And the truth is, people will just go, oh, no episode this week? Cool. I'll listen to something else.
Yeah.
You're never as big a deal in people's minds as you think. So it's like, you can take a couple of months off. Maybe if you're pushing 6 months, maybe reconsider like bringing something back, you know, don't leave it too long.
Yeah.
But if you need a break, you need a break. Like, I always say, people will just catch up when they catch up. And it's like, it depends how you want to live your life, really. If you want to be in the limelight constantly, you'll need to post loads. But if you don't want it to take over your life, allow yourself to take breaks.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you want to get a big listenership, the fastest way to do it is to be consistent and get them out as much as you can.
Yeah.
But you got to weigh it up with quality of life and enjoyment, for me anyway. And so I just wouldn't enjoy it if I was making one a week, just because of the amount of work that would have to go into it.
But the other side of it is people who do Zoom podcasts, for example, right? And I've got nothing against Zoom podcasts because I've been on a few. However, I know a few people who started Zoom podcasts while I was maybe doing episode 20 or something like that, and have massively overtaken me into the hundreds, right? But I tune into a podcast. I don't like the audio quality. I can forgive shitty picture. I can't forgive shitty audio.
No,
if I'm driving, the last thing I want is that annoying Zoom, you know, where it cuts out the words for a brief second and like pings. I can't do it. It's not fun to listen to. So it's like, I would rather have less episodes of better quality with the visuals, the clips and whatnot, than just go boom, 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 boom like that. That doesn't do anything for me because I'm going to look back and go, well, I've just got all this average stuff. And I'm not saying Zoom podcasts are average. They still take time to do. But I would, for me, much rather have the quality content like that I've put effort into, that I've put so much time into, you know?
I'd be interested to know like what the stats are on people that, you know, because when I was looking into like podcasting and the frequency of how much you should publish, and they were saying, you know, post the same time, the same day every week, because your listeners will get used to you having a new episode. I just don't know how. I mean, maybe it's because my life isn't very structured. But like, do people listen to the same podcast on the Monday at 8:30 on the way to work because they know it's coming out at that
There'll
time?
be some people that do, but I don't think people care as much.
It's not like when we had 4 channels on TV and you couldn't miss your program because you were going to miss
there was no
it.
BBC iPlayer. There's no Heywood stuff catch up. You know what I mean?
There will be.
But it's like, I mean, I love the idea of having it every 2 weeks. That does me, because it gives me the chance to edit it, and it's not a massive rush, and I don't have to, you know, like, I don't have to worry massive amounts about it. But I do agree with the post more. So Spotify kept telling me that I needed to post more, right? And so I was like, well, I can't get in another episode. This is good for anyone that wants to post more but doesn't necessarily have more guests. So what I started to do is, I've only done this for 2 episodes. So I filmed the episode with the guest. So for example, I had a guy called Axel Tucker on, right? So I did his episode. We had a good hour afterwards. He said, I've got to go see my kid. I was like, cool. Me and Carla are going to record an episode afterwards called After the Mic.
Right.
So basically what it is it's kind of like, do you remember like when you used to get like Britain's Got Talent on like, what was it? Was it BBC?
ITV.
ITV, that's it, yeah. And then they would tell you, go over to ITV Extra to watch the behind the scenes where they talk to the judges and stuff about that episode.
Yeah, it's like reflecting on the episode.
Yeah, so what Carla does now is she sits on the outside of the cameras and she'll make the notes. And then afterwards, we'll sit and talk about the episode. She'll ask my thoughts on what I thought of now that it's recorded. She'll give her thoughts and any notes that she thinks was... And that goes out as like a week later as an extra bonus. It's not something it's something I promote. I don't have it on YouTube. It's a Spotify only. But it's like... It's just a little bit extra, and it doesn't require much more effort to do.
No, and it's getting more content out there, which increases the potential of getting it noticed. Exactly. Something that I used to like doing, which was with the same kind of intention, is say I've got an hour-long podcast, and you know, like a topic matter often lasts like 10, 15 minutes where you're talking about one thing.
Yeah.
Like I loved taking just like a 10-minute segment where we were talking about one thing, and then reposting that.
Yeah.
And it's like I see it with, some of the big, like Joe Rogan, for example, you'll often see on YouTube just a 10-minute bit from his fucking 2.5-hour long episode.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just the juicy bit.
Yeah.
And I think it's sometimes more digestible for some people.
Yeah.
It also like, depending on where you are during the day, like maybe you've only got 10 minutes in you. And then if you see it's only 10 minutes long, you're more likely to watch it. Then if I see like a 2.5-hour long episode, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I initially, and some people do for sure, but my initial thought is like, man, they're going to talk about nothing for the first 20 minutes and I can't be bothered to find where it's at.
It is good, and I did do that for a couple of months, and then it just got too much. on top of the reels, it was like the reels, then the 10-minute segments and stuff. It just got too much. So I was like, I'm gonna focus on the clips in the episode, and maybe one day I'm waiting for the AI software that'll do that for me. Like Opus cuts some clips for you. I'm waiting for the AI software that cuts 10-minute segments out of episodes, and then I'll be like, boom.
I think the future of AI, it's going to get, it will become amazing. You'll just be able to give it all the camera angles, the sound, and it will just edit the whole thing. I mean, you can already do it, but it's not as good. And it will look at your style from past episodes, and it will replicate it. Yeah. And the clips there's another one actually called Choppity. Have you heard of Choppity?
No, I haven't. Tell me more.
Have a look at Choppity. So it's a bit like Opus Clips, but there's less functions. There's less things you can do, but it's a little bit more intuitive in terms of taking the topic matter and finding like highlight bits.
Right.
Choppity. They're in Durham as well, so it's local.
Cool.
For anyone who's thinking of doing a podcast, but they think that the market is oversaturated, it's too competitive, there's too much fucking work involved, what would you say to them to kind of give them hope and inspiration?
Well, do you actually want to do it, or do you just think you should do it because everybody else is?
It's a good question.
Because it's like, yes, it's cool to have a podcast, and everyone looks cooler in front of a
microphone. And we're cool people because of it.
We are cool as fuck,
What would
Heywood.
we be without this?
Nothing. I'd be homeless. But like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think people want to do things as much as they think they do. They bullshit themselves
What do you mean by that?
So like, it's like, I know people, it's like, oh, I'd love to have a podcast. It's like, would you?
Do you know why?
Do you actually want to have a podcast, or do you just think you'd look cool in front of a microphone? Do you actually want to have deep intellectual conversations with people, or do you just want to chat shit with a friend and put it out there? Like, I know a guy who he's currently playing.
That format works though.
It does. If you're interested enough, right? But I mean, you can make a podcast out of anything, really. It just depends how much you want to talk about that. Like, for example, I know a guy who he's currently playing the world's longest board game that no one's ever finished, which is ridiculous. I can't remember the name of his podcast. I'm sorry, James, but in he's got like thousands of listeners because people are just interested in this weird niche of board games.
We'll leave a description in the thing, but below, so you can
it's interesting to a certain kind of person. Now, my podcast isn't very niche. It kind of blends in with the self-help community and the gurus and stuff like that. But I love to do it. So the question you got to ask yourself is, when you think it's cool to do a podcast, you think it's cool to be on YouTube, do you have the time to do it is another one, but also, do you actually want to, or do you just think it would look kind of cool? Because it's like, it is a commitment. It's like having a second job. It's a commitment that you make, and you've got to be accountable to that. And it's like, and then you go down the rabbit hole. It's like, how accountable do you hold yourself on a daily basis? It's like, if you are doing nothing with the rest of your life, you go to work, you come home, you binge Netflix, are you really the kind of person that's going to maintain a podcast? Maybe you could. Maybe that's the thing that drives you out of that hole. But for the most part, it's like, if your life is not reflective of this standard that you're now going to hold yourself to, it's going to be very difficult to make yourself do that.
I think it's like 95% or even more of podcasts don't reach past the 10th episode.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, because if you're just doing one a month and then 10 months go by and you haven't seen as much traction or growth as you would like, it can be disheartening if your focus is on growth.
Yeah. It's like, I had someone say, I'd love to have a podcast, but I really don't like the sound of my own voice. It's like, well, you're probably not going to enjoy making a podcast.
You're going
to have to listen to it. Like.
And I also think it's really valuable to listen to yourself back, because there's one of the first things I learned, or a couple of the first things I learned when doing a podcast, was that I'd always interrupt the other person. I still do it. But like, I'd interrupt them, like you'd be talking, I'd be like, yeah.
I think that's okay though, because I've just done that too. I think that's fine, because that's how people communicate in real life. That's why it's what's weird about Stephen Bartlett's podcast. Yeah. I don't watch a lot of his stuff, but he kind of asks a question, then the guest will ramble for 20 minutes, and they'll go, And then he'll ask the next question. I'm like, there's no... Do you know what I mean? That's not how conversation works.
I hold back my voice a lot when I'm talking to someone because I would be like, and when I listen to it back, I'm like, shut the fuck up, Heywood. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I like it.
I feel like it. It also gets in the way if you're making clips. If there's a but also
that's the thing though, because I don't think it does.
Really?
Because when you see the clip, you only see one camera angle.
Yeah.
So it looks like someone could have just set up a microphone and is talking to a fucking brick wall. They're not actually having a conversation. Whereas if you hear the odd, okay, interesting in the background, you're like, oh, it's an actual podcast. It's not just some douchebag who thinks because I've got a microphone, I'm a guru.
I think it's fair to say that there's like infinite possibilities and ways to do it, right? There's no like one clear thing. Just like there's so many different kind of styles of podcasting, there's like infinite types of people listening and watching them. So for anyone who's thinking about doing a podcast, if you're passionate about talking about what you're talking about, you should just do it. Yeah. And you can never get too niche.
It's also a growth on your part as well, because if you love something, like I love, saying that, I really did love self-development, and I was reading every book under the sun. I became a proper self-development junkie. I was doing cold showers, I was getting massages, I was going for runs, I was going to the gym, I was doing everything, man. My entire life became self-development, and I didn't learn shit. It was when I niched down, and I was like, what do I actually want to do? What do I actually enjoy doing? And what do I actually know the most about? And then I just talk about those things the most. Because I was trying to cover so much ground in these YouTube videos that I used to make. I was just chatting shit about stuff that I'd read about in a book for half an hour.
So what did you get in? What's your thing?
In terms of like self-development or just my... personal empowerment. Okay. Giving yourself permission to do things and test things in your life. Live your life like a bit like it's a test tube. You know? Do
you think you went down that route because that's what you needed most for
your
life?
Yeah, absolutely. I was bored, man. I was just like, when I started...
I mean, in terms of like giving yourself permission.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was one of those, like, I get this from one of my parents. I'm not going to name drop which one. One of them is very much a people pleaser. And I developed that same habit. So if someone did not agree, did not like what I was saying, it was gone out of my life, right? It's very much like I need to make other people happy. And people will relate to this. People love to diagnose themselves as people pleasers. But when it actually takes over your entire life and you're like, okay, I need to do this because this person said and this person did this and I need to follow this, right? When I started making YouTube videos, that was the biggest break from that chain possible. Because you open yourself up to people that, the most degenerate people in the world are YouTube commenters with no avatar picture. Those are the most degenerate people in the world. And it's like, they are just horrible for the sake of being horrible. So you open yourself up to that. And you get a choice when you read that comment of like, this video sucks, couldn't understand what you're talking about, you didn't make your point clear, blah, 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 right? You have a choice to be the people pleaser and go, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll try better next time, or ignore it and just actually do better next time. It's like, just keep going. Don't stop because you got one negative comment or your mom doesn't agree with you, or your dad doesn't agree with you. Yeah. It's like, that's the permission side of things.
Just to add to that with, essentially trolls, because I had my fair share of trolls as well, but my reaction, it wasn't the people-pleasing thing. It was more like I got so angry and I'd kind of lash out at them, thinking that I was like defending myself and everyone else that ever got trolled, when really I was kind of... I was just making it worse for myself. Like I gave them power at that point. Yeah. And then I realized after a while, I was like, I just need to ignore them or just say something where it's kind of like indifferent so that they feel like they've made absolutely no impact on them.
Well, what's great about haters though is they boost the algorithm the more they reply to you. It's great. So I remember listening to this one guy, I can't remember who it was, and he was saying he basically, for his videos on Instagram and stuff, he had like a separate account that was just a troll account to troll people in his comment section. Clever. So he would just see whoever had commented and say they've got a picture of them and their dog in their profile picture. You just say their dog was ugly in the comment section.
But and then from a different alias.
From a different, so it was, and it would just, like, how dare you say my dog? And then people would jump in to defend and the algorithm's going, well, there's loads of comments, but. Because at the end of the day, it's like, if someone comments, great video, love this, you go, thanks, bro, and that's the end of it, right? Whereas if there's this comment thread of like, I disagree with this, and you start sort of not fighting them back, but you see it as an advantage, like, okay, the algorithm's going to love this the more comments it gets. Yeah. It's great for that. So I would say share the hate, welcome it, because it's going to boost you further. And I've done it loads. If someone comments on my TikTok something hateful, I'm like, yes, this one's going to like 5,000, 10,000 views,
So let's talk about social media quickly. Do you publish your shorts for your podcast on all of them?
Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and YouTube Shorts as well. Yeah. So the 4 places.
TikTok is still like I don't know. I feel like older generations not that they don't value TikTok, but maybe they don't appreciate just how much TikTok can do. It seemed like it was like just a young person's app, but I think if anyone's trying to promote their podcast, they need to be on TikTok. Like, you just need to get them on there.
Yeah, but you don't even need to make separate content. Some people think, I need to make TikTok, I need to make Instagram. Wow, it's a lot. It's just you post the same thing.
Post the same thing.
Just post the same thing. But TikTok's... Do you know one thing that bugs me about social media as well? You'll get an excellent clip that you're like, this is some mic drop wisdom. And no one gives a shit, right? And then you post a clip of like... I mean, for example, right, I had a guy called Chris Harrison, right? He was a great photographer, right? And I had him on and we were talking about like photography, then we talked about him shooting models, and then I made a clip of him where he was talking about he was shooting there was a couple getting it on and he's taking the pictures of it, right? And he fell off the bed and really hurt his back. And it was a funny story. Yeah. And I was like, that's gold. That's a good clip. It did okay, right? And then I posted a throwaway clip, right? One of those clips where it's at the bottom of the barrel and you're like, I need an extra clip, I'll post that. And it was of him talking about what was it, like wedding photography or something like that, and it blew up. It was like my most watched reel ever, and it was and the reason it was is because loads of people who were wedding photographers saw this and were like, I agree with this is great, this is speaking up for and I was like, I did not think this would be the clip.
You can't always foresee which clips are going to do well, can you? You just can't. And like, obviously you can put as many ducks in a row as you can, right? Like, get it out at the right time of the day and get captions on there and make it snappy and not too much fluff. But ultimately, sometimes it just hits something at the perfect moment. And it's not just the time of the day. It's like what's happening in society and in culture. Like, sometimes it just hits and it can blow up. Like, I've seen profiles that I've worked with where that one viral video has then like added thousands of followers like over a few days.
Yeah, that one with Chris pushed me up 800 followers.
Yeah,
it's nuts. I was just like, every day I open my phone and it's like 99 plus. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
And I think that's an important point for anyone who's, been at the grind of trying to get a podcast out there or their content out there, and they might have been in it for a year or 2 years or 5 years, and they're still not getting the numbers that they think that they want.
Yeah.
It can be like one video away that can do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
The problem is as well, we see everyone getting the likes online and we think that's what we deserve. You don't deserve shit, right? I don't deserve half the views I've got, right? I'm only 51 episodes in. I don't feel like I deserve... I mean, like I said, I've been making videos for 10 years. I don't have one of them YouTube plaques. I don't get millions and millions of views, It doesn't happen to everybody because everybody wants to be a creator. Everyone wants to look cool. Everyone wants to be the next Mr. Beast or PewDiePie or whatever. Everyone wants to be the next... Well, they say they want to be the next one, right? Yeah. But it's like, how many of us are actually going to get there? Yeah. And it's like, you got to look at other people's stories that are reflections similar to kind of the direction you want to go. Because like everyone loves an underdog story. Like I was reading about Glenn Powell, I think his name is, the actor. And it was saying how he took like so many small roles. He was in like Spy Kids 3, which I totally forgot about. That he was one of the guys. If anyone's seen Spy Kids 3, weird film, but he's in that as like a child. And then all these smaller roles. And then now he's getting like title roles like, I don't know, 36 years later. Yeah. And it's like, it took 36 years for this guy who now everyone raves about. And he's a bit of a heartthrob and whatnot. It took 36 years for this guy. He's no different to one of us. Absolutely. Everyone that we see online is either a man, woman, you just exist, you're a human, right? So it's like...
I think you say you don't deserve all the views that you get, but 51 episodes in, I think you probably do. I mean, you've done a lot. That's a lot of episodes, and that's hard grind, right? And for some people, they find it easier than others, but I think if anyone can get to 10 episodes, like you've already done a good start, and you keep learning as you go along. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
The problem is it's that if I am like, well, I deserve millions of views on this. If I have that attitude, I'm not going to get anywhere because that's what causes people to quit. But if I'm constantly humble about it, and I'm like, this one got this many views, good. This one didn't get this many views, good. Just keep going through, and I'm like, I don't deserve fame, glory, podcasts, plaques on the wall. I don't deserve it, but I'm going to keep going. purely because I enjoy it. I'm not in it for the, it's nice to get accolades and stuff, but if that's the reason you're doing it, it's going to fail and you're going to start to hate yourself because you're doing it for the complete wrong reasons.
I have another question.
Bring it.
Now that, before I used to hide the fact that I got my phone out for the things, but this is just how we work, isn't it?
Have you seen any of my clips that my laptop's in front of me?
Oh, yeah, I know.
You
but
can see
even the big ones like Diary of a CEO, like
he's an iPad.
He shows he's got his fucking iPad.
Makes you more human.
I'm just going to read it straight off the thing because we've broken down the
Fourth
barriers
wall.
of exactly. What opportunities opened up that you didn't expect, which was thanks to podcasting, or what people, friends have you made along the way thanks to podcasting?
Ooh, mate, that is a good question.
Good question. It's a good question.
Opportunities.
You can take your time. I'm editing.
Yeah,
this
there's been there's been a few talks about doing things. Like I'm in talks with this guy who's a chauffeur and he wants to do a podcast with the people he chauffeurs around and stuff. So I'm trying to get involved in that, and then sort of I want to get into more hosting things like events and things, which I've had a little bit of experience in, but it's more like having the connections. I think is the biggest thing, and knowing a few people and being able to say, send this person here or this person to do this kind of thing.
What do you mean?
Like. So for example, obviously, like we were talking before about anyone who wants to use your studio, right? It's like I know a few people who can do that, and then I can send them your way, and then you send
podcast studio.
Yeah, exactly. Plug as much as you want, and it's like I can send people your way. You can send people mine.
There's a description in the link below.
Remember swipe up? Do you remember when people were like swipe up? Do you remember that?
What happened to swipe up?
It just disappeared now, didn't it? Do you know why it was? It's because Instagram wanted people to stay on Instagram and not go away from Instagram. That's why.
Yeah.
But
yeah, funny.
Yeah,
it's all right.
In terms of opportunities, I would say there's a few things in the pipeline, but nothing's crept up yet. But in terms of people that I know and friends, it's like I've got a lot more people. Like a lot of the guests that I've had on will like my stuff. They'll comment. They'll send DMs and send me funny things. And one of my guests, Caroline, who she was just a random PT that I had on one time. I was like, you look cool, you got bright pink hair and stuff like that. We become really good friends. She moved to Portugal. She said you should come out here. She's come back to Newcastle a few times. We went out for drinks and food, and I've met some of her friends and whatnot. And that's a great connection. Like I've got a good friendship there with her now.
Yeah.
And it's like I wouldn't have had that if I didn't have her on the show. And it's allowed me to have more friends in places that I'm interested in, if that makes sense, rather than like the people I've grew up with or had from my restaurant days. I've now got friends who are in that sort of world, you know? And I think the best thing about being a podcaster is definitely the connections you can make with people and how you can connect other people as well. Being the sort of like, it's kind of like the Illuminati, isn't it? You feel kind of cool. You're one of the group, one of the Avengers. Like we were talking about before, the collaborative thing. I love that, and I love sending people together because it's like Avengers crossover, man. Everyone went wild for Infinity War. It was like seeing Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. Holy fucking shit!
Yeah.
It's like seeing Heywood and then somebody else. It's like it's mad.
You definitely you can make when you have an intentional conversation with someone talking about things that you're both passionate about. It's like inevitable that you're gonna meet friends along the way.
But you're treading deep ground, which it's not like small talk conversation on a bus.
You do, that's why I love the podcasting medium, because it is long form content, and you can explore things in that 1 hour or 2 hours with somebody, which normally you might not be talking about that kind of stuff with that person in another environment. Like life is chaos for everyone at the moment. Social media, like scroll culture, if you like, is like such short form content that I think it's becoming rarer and rarer where two people or strangers or people that don't know each other that will actually sit down and have a chat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And podcasting makes you do that. You've got to sit down. And I like the fact that when the lights are on, the camera's on, and the mic's there, and it's like, this is so intentional.
Yeah.
But you're in the moment. You're forced to like be present, even though like ADHD brain can go all over the place. But you're brought back to the present all the time.
But if you think about how most people when they communicate, like I don't know, I know this mostly from being in restaurant work when I was there. It's how many people go out with their mates and they still go on the phone. I can't imagine if I was sat here opposite you and I got my phone out and I'm just going, you just asked me stuff. You'd be like, get the fuck out of my studio. You'd be like, what are you doing? But when you do a podcast, it's like, this is the moment where you don't have a phone. There's no distractions. You are purely in the moment, and that's a rare thing. And especially when it's captured on camera, it's just nice. And I think that's why people like it the most, because it gives them something that they're not currently getting in their life.
Yeah. It's funny. I was watching this this Canadian podcaster, but he's got like this building full of different rooms for different podcasts and stuff. It's like super this swish, right?
Is that the goal? Is that your goal?
No. I would love to have 2 rooms.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to get too big. I would love a meter extra on each side, is what I tell people.
Yes.
I would like a bit bigger, and then one day to have a second room. But he said that some people would come just to do one episode on a Friday night with their friends, just for the enjoyment of being in a environment where they're having like intentional conversation.
Yeah.
You know, and then they'd keep the video. They wouldn't even post it. It was just like getting your picture taken, but you're capturing that evening with friends. I fucking love that.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, I would do that. I would go somewhere with like 2, 3 mates that you just bounce with, have a couple of drinks and chat shit for an hour or 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I think it makes sense.
Some of that stuff you could not put out to the public.
Some you should definitely not.
Some of your chats with your mates should not be made public. It should be forgotten about.
You know, some podcast clips that hands up, I watch more clips than I do actual podcasts. But some of them are like, there's no real like in-depth content. It's just 2 mates talking bollocks, but they've got such a great bouncing back and forth. Like they're just, it's just funny, and it's like situational or like pop culture or something that's like, you know, like current, but you just you can't help but enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I think I don't know what my point is. I think podcasting it doesn't always have to be super informative. Like, it's just got to be fun for the people, or important to the people talking about it.
Here's a question for you just to fire back. Is there any
please.
topic that you stay away from on when you go on podcasts or you have your own podcast? Is there a topic you stay away from? You're like, I don't want to bring this up.
No, I'm an open book. Like, I mean, Heywood and stuff was always mental health based.
Yeah.
So actually.
The real pressure in the media.